What really got me kind of started in the movement is the next photo of Dr. King, the Civil Rights March of 1963, where he gave his I Have a Dream speech. And what was important about that is that as a high school, or as a college sophomore at the time, it was the first time I'd seen black and white people. If you think it's white here now, you should have seen it back in the 60s. There was real white around here. You didn't see a black face in Winona, or a Latino face, or a Hmong face, or anything like that. So I had not had any experience with African American people at all. And when I saw this march, it was like, it was black and white people marching together by the thousands in Washington, D.C., and it was all over the country, you know, and in the media. And so it really got me interested.
Solid as a rock, solid as a rock, rooted like a tree, rooted like a tree. We are here, standing strong, in our rightful place, in our rightful place, in our rightful place, in our rightful place, in our rightful place.
All ages, from very young, 6 or 7, up through college age. But county jail became so crowded on Friday until I was transferred again. And this time, they put us on the buses. We go to the state fairground. That was like an amusement park. And I had seen the Ferris wheels and smelled the cotton candy and popcorn because I passed them many times. But we weren't allowed to go, except on Saturday nights after 10. So I had never been. So when the buses turned into Kittyland Park, we started cheering again. They didn't let us ride anything. Went to the back of the park and they separated us again. The area that I went into was like a dormitory, like a 4H dormitory. And it had tile floors and restrooms and beds, and some of the beds had mattresses. I got one that did. They had a mattress and a sheet. So I was very comfortable being there. I got out on Sunday. My parents came and signed me out on Sunday. There had been announcements at the churches saying you can get your kids out. Just go and ask for them by name. And my folk came and asked for me by name, and I was dismissed on Sunday.
It was dangerous living in Birmingham. First, let me tell you something. Let me tell you why Birmingham became the center of the civil rights movement. Birmingham was one of the few places in the country, I think it was one in Texas, where they actually had laws on the books, ordinances, against integration, the sustaining of segregation, and so forth. Most places it was just a custom or like a pseudo law. It wasn't written down in print. But Birmingham enforced these laws and so forth. And they used, the police department was enforcing it. So therefore, they intimidated, they harassed, they assaulted, and they even killed people.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, dear in my heart that I do believe. Oh, we shall overcome someday.
Over to Mickey and them, so they had a ready, viable force of people to work with them. And we began to work with them. We became the foot soldiers, okay? I will refer to us as the foot soldiers. Now, when we get on down here, the reason why I want to come this way is because the Sunday, June 21st, that Mickey, Andy, and James were killed, I was supposed to have been with them. The only reason was that I'm going to show you this church that I was speaking at because of Mr. Johnny Ray Moore, who worked for Mr. James Bishop, who owned the funeral home, who was one of the big leaders in Meridian, had invited me to speak to his young people, okay?
The Negro community wanted to know, why did we want to rock the boat? And the white community simply wanted us gone, really. And they wanted to know what was wrong with the all-black Harris High School that we weren't wanting to stay there. Although there was much discord, I was determined to stay at the school, and my mind was made up as I remembered an old freedom song, "Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around." Once I had made up my mind to attend the school, there was no turning back. We were harassed every day, all day long, in some way or another, whether it was in the hallways, the gym, the cafeteria, even at pep rallies. We always had prime seating because we were made to feel inferior, as no one would sit as close as you are to us if that was possible. Venomous words were spouted to us on a daily basis. They announced their disgust with our presence, all because we had the audacity to what? To attend their school. Cat calls, "Nigger, what are you doing here? Nigger, why don't you go home where you belong? Nigger, we don't want you here." We had that each and every day. The actions of the kids would be described as what you all call bullying today. Most teachers never went out of their way to stop the harassment.
I can recall of open segregation with signs, colored white, water sign, water fountain, bathroom, public accommodation, bus station. The black people had to go in a certain area or use a certain facility, and if you used a restaurant, you had to go to the back in a little, where they give you food out through a little slide door or something. I experienced that.
The only thing that we did right, was the day we began to fight. All right. Your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Okay.
By the time I was 14 years old, between January 2nd and March 7th of 1965, I have been jailed 9 times. Now, I'm proud to say I'm a jailbird. Had fun going to jail. At first it was kind of scary, but you went to jail with your clique. And even though if you didn't make it to jail that day with your clique, you still had a clique when you got to jail, because everybody took care of everybody. And jail was a family thing. If you were scared and you cried, all of us were scared, so we cried with you. It made no sense to just let you cry since we were scared too. We cried with you. You went back.
And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. No more security! No more security! No more security! No more security over me, over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. No more rain! No more rain! No more rain! No more rain over me. Before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free.
Principal, I would like to say is that You really don't have to go anywhere to find a movement, regardless of your age. The movement is wherever you are. And here I was in Montgomery, Alabama, at the age of 8, and my grandmother after church on Sundays, the treat was to ride the bus to the end of the line and come back. And she would get on the bus stop right in front of her home. And she would get on the bus, and we thought she was going to check it out, and pay for our fare, and she'll come off, and she said, ride on the back seat. That's the best seat in the bus. Because you look out that big window, and you see all of the scenery backwards. That was her way to protect me and my brother.
Branch of the Lutheran Church had a German background, but Lutherans were Germans and Swedes and Norwegians and all kinds of other Scandinavians, but very few African Americans. But we had a number of mission congregations across the country, and they needed pastors to serve them. And in those days, the educational programs for African Americans at every level were miserable. It wasn't just colleges and seminaries and universities, but from the ground up, there was simply not an adequate education available to African Americans anywhere in the country. So there was always a need for white Lutheran pastors to serve some of the congregations of African Americans.
And you had been out in California.
Yeah, as a student pastor, I served 2 years in a black congregation in Los Angeles, California. When it came time for me to graduate in June of 1955, there was a congregation here in Montgomery, Alabama, a black Lutheran congregation called Trinity Lutheran Church, whose pastor had left to serve that congregation I had served as a student out in California. And they needed a pastor. When they checked with church officials, they said, yeah, we have a young man who's just graduating, and he had worked in colored communities before, so we think he would do a good job for you. They offered a call to me, and we moved down in June of 1955, and the rest is history.
I wrote this piece for my grandson, Jabari, for his birthday. I write poetry to my grandkids. I don't send them birthday cards. I write some poetry and send them. And it's called For My Young Black Brothers. You're going to be an outstanding black man if you have goals, dreams, and a master plan. Stay in school and don't go astray. You might be like Dr. Montreal Green and become a superintendent one day. He's a young man that always had a plan, and now he is an outstanding black man. Don't sell drugs and hang out with thugs. For you, an education is your only way. You're not all gangbangers as the media you portray. You're young, you're gifted, you're handsome and black. You're an A student, but they will never tell that. But you have goals, dreams, and a master plan. And you're going to be an outstanding black man. Don't diss women and call them B's and W's. Respect all women, especially your mother. She's a God-fearing woman who always had a plan. She's the reason why you're an outstanding young man. Be a positive role model for all of the brothers. Tell them to stop selling drugs and killing each other. Tell them to trust in God and love one another, because you all are some beautiful black brothers. To my middle class brothers, since you all are black, why you want to diss them because you think that they came from the wrong side of the track? I told you once that they're young, they're gifted, they're handsome and black. So excuse them while they pat themselves on the back. Society's plan is for you to fail, so you can end up in somebody's jail where you don't like orange jumpsuits or overcrowded cells. You're an achiever and you're going to do well. So tell them to excuse you while you mess up their plans. but you're going to be an outstanding black man. Society will put you on hold and tell you to wait, but you gotta be like Job and stand on your faith, because God has the master plan, and you're going to be an outstanding black man.